The early 1970s were a bizarre period for car design. Manufacturers were still drunk on the success of the space age. Safety legislation was starting to creep in, and designers had suddenly discovered that you could draw an entire car with a ruler instead of a French curve. Out of that madness came Giugiaro's Maserati Boomerang, possibly the most unapologetically wedge-shaped car ever built, and one of those machines that straddled the line between sculpture and automobile. Unveiled first as a wooden mock-up at the 1972 Touring Motor Show, and then as a fully functional one-off the following year at Geneva, the Boomerang was the wedge taken to its logical extreme. It wasn't just a car, it was an essay on geometry, a rolling manifesto of Ital Design's vision for the future. Where other concepts hinted at angularity, the Boomerang leaned into it with the subtlety of a chainsaw. And while it looked like something from a Stanley Kubrick film, the Boomerang wasn't an empty showpiece. Ital Design built it on the chassis of the Maserati Boomerang, which meant this alien wedge had a serious pedigree underneath. The Bora, launched in 1971, was Maserati's first mid-engined road car, and it came with a sort of engineering and performance that made Ferrari nervous. That meant the Boomerang carried a 4.7-litre Maserati V8 sitting midship. This quad-cam 16-valve engine produced a muscular 310 horsepower, which was enough to push the Boomerang close to 300 km per hour. In the early 1970s, that was properly fast. In fact, it was faster than a Lamborghini Miura, and faster than many contemporary Ferraris. Transmission duties were handled by a ZF 5-speed manual, sending power to the rear wheels. Suspension was fully independent with double wishbones at each corner, and 4-wheel disc brakes provided the stopping power. So while the bodywork might have looked like a modernist fever dream, the driving hardware was pure Maserati, built to go head-to-head with the Italian supercar hierarchy. But of course, it's the design that made the Boomerang legendary. Giugiaro didn't just flirt with straight edges, he obsessed over them. Every surface of the Boomerang is taut, angular and brutally geometric. The bonnet drops low into a razor-thin front end. The windscreen is racked back at an outrageous 13 degrees, and the roofline tapers into a rear deck that looks less like a boot and more like a runway. Giugiaro himself said the Boomerang was drawn almost exclusively with a ruler rather than with curves. And you can tell, where most cars are shaped like organic beings, muscles, tendons and skin, the Boomerang looks carved, as if someone took a block of aluminium and sliced into it. And the influences for its design are obvious. You can spot the nose treatment from the Ital Design Iguana and hints of the Alfa Romeo Cameo. But the Boomerang took those experiments and exaggerated them, pushing wedge design to its most extreme point. It was less a car and more a prototype for a new visual language. Even the wheels were works of art. The rims, designed specifically for the Boomerang, looked more like sculptures than functional components. Giugiaro considered them his finest wheel design, and given that he designed everything from the Volkswagen Golf to the DeLorean, that's saying something. But his design wasn't without its issues. For instance, glass makers called the windscreen angle stupid, claiming it would ruin visibility and cause endless problems with reflection and heat. Giugiaro, of course, ignored them, and 3 years later proved his point with the production Lotus Esprit, which borrowed much of the Boomerang's visual DNA and carried it successfully into showrooms. But if the outside looked alien, the interior was positively Martian. Giugiaro ripped up the rulebook and started again. The steering wheel, for instance, wasn't really a wheel at all. Only the rim was exposed, while the center housed a massive circular instrument cluster. The speedometer and tachometer were stacked together in the upper half of the disc, while the lower portion contained secondary gauges. And then there was the steering column. At the time, safety was becoming a serious talking point in the car industry. Manufacturers were under pressure to design cars that wouldn't immediately impale you in a crash. For the Boomerang, Ital Design engineered a split steering column connected by a chain, a complex but clever system that prevented the column from being shoved backwards into the driver in the event of a frontal collision. Now, calling the Boomerang irrational was part of the point. Ital Design wasn't trying to build a car that you could drive in everyday traffic. This was a dream car, a rolling provocation, meant to challenge the industry. And it worked. The Boomerang influenced an entire generation of cars. You can see its DNA in the Esprit, in the Maserati Camzen, and in countless Ital Design prototypes that followed. It showed manufacturers that extreme wedge shapes could not only exist, but could also define the future. So, what happened to it? Well, after its Geneva debut in 1973, the car lived on as a showpiece, occasionally resurfacing at exhibitions and concourse events. And luckily, over the decades, it's been carefully preserved. And so today, the Boomerang is recognized as one of the most iconic concept cars ever built. It represents not only Giugiaro at his boldest, but also the 1970s at their most experimental. But yeah, at the end of this video, please let me know what you guys think of this car and its story. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now if you guys did like this video, you'll most probably enjoy most of my other stuff. So just go through my channel, see if there's someone else to like. I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers, eh?